Hey everyone! If you're a true Lakers fan, this channel is for you. Here you'll find game analysis, breaking news, and everything you need to know about your favorite team. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any content. Your support is crucial for us to keep growing together. Let's go, Lakers!
Variety, because over the weekend, Jalen Brunson signed a 4-year, $156.5 million extension. However, Brunson left $113 million guaranteed, perhaps, on the table that would have made him eligible to receive next offseason. And so, Art, what do you make of this? He got a lot of coin, but he also left a lot behind.
I mean, listen, he's quickly becoming like one of the favorite Knicks of all times. Like, he talked about sacrifice. Listen, he's playing chess, not checkers, right? You talk about him taking, that contract. What that allowed him to do is stay out of the second apron, the luxury tax with the new collective bargain agreement. This allows the Knicks to go out and be able to sign some guys maybe to that mid-level exemption to be able to fill this roster out. Listen, it's a 4-year deal, but he'll be able to go back to the table again and get all that money. This allows you to go in and get Bridges and get all his friends. And, eventually they'll make a signing for Tom Thibodeau. But this is great. This gives them an opportunity to close the gap on the Boston Celtics, and they're just getting started. I think they got a couple more moves left.
Okay, this is great if they win. This is great if they re-sign all those dues, everyone stays healthy, and they win. That's a lot of money to leave behind to just think you're going to be guaranteed it later on. And also, Bart, I love you, but Jalen Brunson, a better man than you, maybe.
I did the same thing, right? Cleveland offered me a contract, and if I would have been in that contract, I never would have been able to be signed by this man who gave me the bag.
And that's my exact question that I've been waiting 15 years to ask, Jay. How come when we signed you in 2009, you didn't give us the Jalen Brunson discount?
Oh, man, come on now. Y'all came back and got that money for Namdi, and we didn't get him. Y'all didn't give it back.
This is 15 years ago. Mike T's been waiting 15 years to tell Bart Scott that. All right, let's move on to football, though. It is here.
True, but it was still...
I'm not downplaying the importance. I'm just saying it wasn't shocking only because we've talked about it for
right.
I mean, that was my lead the other day. Is it isn't shocking because of the fact that we've been talking about this, but it probably should be.
Well, I think
also
it
should
might
probably say what it is before we continue.
Yes, Jalen Brunson signed a 4-year, $157 million contract extension with the Knicks. Just about on the first day he was eligible to sign it, maybe a couple days later. And that was $37 million less than he could have made over the same stretch. And had he, if he'd waited, and what is the overall number if he had waited?
Well, no, the key way to explain it is if he had signed the full extension, he could have signed a year from now, or full deal, he could have signed a year from now. He could have made $270 million over a 5-year deal, and therefore sacrificed $113 million to sign this extension now at below the max by a lot of what he could do dollars wise, and below the max what he could do years wise, which is obviously geared towards keeping this team together. And I think is certainly a secondary part of the transaction that was made a couple of weeks ago to trade for Mikal Bridges, the 4th member of the Nova Knicks. And I still maintain the 5th member of the Nova Knicks, who's been there before, Ryan Arcidiacono, will wind up back with the Knicks at some point. And these guys have all clearly desired to play together. And by signing this extension under the new collective bargaining agreement, like we've talked about a bunch, this gives the Knicks the ability to have potentially a 5-year window where they are an elite championship level team with this group together, which is going to be really, really hard to do under this new CBA, which is why this is a big deal and why I saw a bunch of Knicks people yesterday, and every one of them, including a certain father, had a very big smile on their face about the way things have gone for the Knicks over the last few weeks.
He does have an opt-out in the last year of that contract. He can opt out and sign for more, so that all the numbers are a little fuzzy. But the point is he's really leaving a lot on the table, and there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that in 4 years that he will be able to get that kind of money. There's no guarantee. Now, Pelton, we have talked repeatedly over the years about how there's an intrinsic value to being a star on the Knicks. that if you are a star on the Knicks, you reap the rewards for the rest of your lifetime. Partially because there hasn't been a lot of bona fide stars on the Knicks, and partially because of the nature of the market and the nature of the fan base, and that nobody remembers how much Carmelo Anthony made, but he is regarded as an all-time Knick, and he continues to live off of that. But we're now pressing the limits of that, because earning this back, like, psychically, he can. It's one, he can say winning is worth whatever, and I learned years ago never to count players' money, but I'll bet Jalen will be hearing from a lot of people in his life and people who come up alongside him, because one of the things about the NBA, one of the lessons learned is, when the sun shines, you've got to take the money, and no matter how much it is, it could be more, and this is could be your one opportunity. So Jalen is doing this because he trusts the Knicks and because he wants to be in New York and all of those things. But it is still a huge outlier in the history of contracts, and the Knicks really now have a responsibility to Jalen. Not that they didn't already, but now they have responsibility to Jalen to really keep the gas down and make that sacrifice financially worth it.
Yeah, I mean, notably, Carmelo Anthony, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this, certainly, but he did take every penny when he got to New York, and did so via trade.
He took a little bit. When he came to New York, but then he later signed a contract.
Or the second contract, yeah.
He later signed a contract where he took a little bit of a haircut.
What the story of Carmelo's career in general was, at every point he made sure he maximized the money he could make, as opposed to maximizing the winning situation he could put himself in. Which it's not a criticism, but again, he took the other guys, the other guys from the banana boat, all were free agents in 2010, and he was a free agent in 2011 because he made sure he got the extra money. It's not a negative thing. It's just the story of how his career played out.
All of that is accurate, but I believe, to be fair, his last contract with the Knicks, he took a slight reduction to try to help them.
Yeah, I mean,
cap space.
Sure.
But
none of that's a criticism either. I get all the money you can get. I'm not saying that, but it's just that's just the story of how Carmelo's stuff played out.
Yes, and so that move is obviously, and I think you've got it right, Bontemps. I think that move really is a conjunction and an extension of the Mikal Bridges trade. It's sort of in tandem, making all of that deal sort of wraps up into one. And then the thing about it is Bridges is eligible for an extension.
And he could sign a 2-year, for Bobby Marks, 2-year, $60 million extension in October, or he could sign a 4-year extension for, I think, somewhere around $120 million. I don't remember the exact number, next summer, off of his current deal, which is seen as a below market deal. And I will be very surprised if at some point in the next calendar year, Mikal Bridges is not extended off of that current deal, because again, that's the precedent that's being set here by one of his best friends. And these guys all clearly want to play together, and this is helping them do that.
And I think it's important to point out that the contracts that are entered into this year, no matter what they are, these are going to end up being good contracts. And the reason is because the TV money is coming after this season, and they're going to phase that money in, and the cap is going to go up at least 30% in the next 3 years. And it might even go up a little bit more, and it might even go up 40% over the next 4 years. So guys who sign this summer and lock themselves into contracts, by the time they get to the end of these deals, they're going to probably be 30%-ish discounts, even if they're still at the market. Even if they signed a market value deal in 2024, they're going to be 30% discounts in 3 years. So then you have Brunson, who took a below market deal, a significant below market deal. And so in 3 years, when he's getting towards the end of that contract, God knows what percentage he'll be below what his value is. So it's, and that's why it's such a home run, is that the Knicks' flexibility with building their team will remain open, because the cap is going to grow and continue to give them flexibility. And if Bridges takes this same type of deal as well and doesn't become a unrestricted free agent like he can in a couple of years, the way Jalen made that decision, it just really amplifies the discount. So I know it's kind of, talking about money, talking about other players' money is complicated, but Pelton, it really puts the Knicks in position, and they've got all these draft picks still, and they still can improve this roster, which I think is a key point.
Yeah, they got a handful of other teams' draft picks. I mean, the value of those is debatable because, two of the picks that they have are maybe the only two outside picks they have are from Detroit and from Washington and are protected in such a way that the Knicks may never get them. I think that Pistons pick in particular, because the protections, decline a little bit over time. And I do think at some point, even with a new lead executive in Trajan Langdon, they're going to feel the pressure to start winning and maybe give up a pick that's in the teens to New York. So they have some things to work out with. The cupboard isn't bare draft pick wise, even as much as they gave up for Mikal Bridges. But yeah, I mean, the big thing this allows them to do is next offseason, they can figure out Julius Randle's situation, assuming, he's not quite a 30% max at this stage of his career. They can
also eligible for an extension right now, just to say we could do something with them now too.
Yep, they could do that right now and lock that in. And potentially use the taxpayer mid-level exception next summer and still stay under that second apron. See, the second apron is going to be a clock on teams because of the way that the draft picks get frozen and eventually move to the end of the round. Our expectation is it's probably going to be 2 years you're going to spend in that second